Ever feel like you're kind of just along for the ride with your emotions? Like one minute you're fine, the next you're, I don't know, totally overwhelmed.
It's like an emotional roller coaster you didn't buy a ticket for.
Yeah, exactly. So today we're going deep on this thing called IPV, interest perception value.
Yeah.
It's this framework for like decoding your feelings.
It's all about how our inner world shapes how we react to, well, everything.
And we've got two amazing sources to help us out today.
How the IPV framework aligns identity with emotional dynamics.
And realismpaper.pdf. So buckle up, folks. We're going to figure out how this IPV thing helps us make sense of, well, being human.
It all comes down to alignment, really. How well your inner world matches up with what's going on outside of you.
So it's not just about, like, feeling happy or sad. It's about what those emotions are trying to tell us.
Right. Emotions are signals, data points. They're telling you if things are in sync or if there's a mismatch.
Okay, so where do we even begin with all of this?
We got to start with the foundation, the baseline emotional states.
Which are?
Boredom, passion, and surprise. These are like the anchors of our emotional experience. Everything else builds from there.
Okay, so boredom, passion, surprise. Those feel pretty familiar. But how do they connect to this whole IPV thing? Like, what's the link?
Think of it this way. Interest is like a string or a line, okay? And then perception is the wave, the movement of that string.
Yeah, I'm with you so far. String wave.
And then value, that's like the knots tied in that string, all those interests all bundled up. So when something tugs on that string of interest,
It creates a wave of perception.
you got it. And it can tighten or loosen the knots of your values.
Okay, that's a pretty cool way to visualize it.
Yeah.
So let's take boredom as our first example. We've all been there, right? Stuck in a meeting that feels like it's never going to end.
Oh, absolutely. But here's the thing. Boredom, it can be aligned or misaligned, and that changes everything.
Meaning?
Let's say you're a writer and you're feeling bored. You might use that quiet time for brainstorming, right? Letting your mind wander, coming up with new ideas.
That's aligned boredom.
Exactly. It's a low energy state, sure. But when it's channeled effectively, it can lead to creativity, even growth.
So it's not about like avoiding boredom altogether. It's about recognizing if it's working for us or against us.
You're getting it. Now, flip that scenario. Imagine a student stuck in a lecture they find totally dull. That same boredom, that baseline state, it can lead to apathy, disengagement, even resentment.
Misaligned boredom.
Exactly. It's draining and it doesn't lead anywhere productive.
This is making me think about how we like perceive boredom differently, depending on the situation. It's not just the feeling itself, it's how it relates to our interests and values in that moment.
You're so right. And that's the key to using IPV to really understand your emotions. It's about the context, the alignment.
Okay, that makes sense.
Wow.
So we've tackled boredom. What about passion? Definitely more energetic than boredom, right?
Oh, yeah. Passion's a big one. It's that blend of love and anger all wrapped up together.
I'm thinking about those times when you're so absorbed in a project, you completely lose track of time. It feels amazing.
That's aligned passion. It's like a fire that fuels creativity, innovation, even deep connection with others.
So like a teacher who is passionate about their subject, they bring that energy to the classroom, the students feel it, and it just creates a really engaging learning environment.
Perfect example. But misaligned passion, well, that can be a different beast altogether.
Yeah, I was just thinking, that's probably where frustration and burnout come in, right? When passion goes wrong.
Unfortunately, yes. Misaligned passion, it can be explosive. Think about that same passionate teacher, but now they're up against a rigid bureaucracy. Rules, regulations, things that prevent them from teaching the way they believe is best.
So that passion can turn into anger, resentment.
Exactly. It can lead to conflict, burnout, all sorts of not great outcomes.
So it's like passion is this powerful force. It can be incredible, positive, or it can be, well, kind of destructive, depending on how it's directed.
And that direction, that's determined by how well your passion aligns with your environment, your values, the whole situation.
Okay, so boredom, passion. We've got one more of these baseline emotions to cover, right? What about surprise? That one feels like the wild card, honestly.
Surprise is all about the unexpected. When it's aligned, it triggers curiosity, a thirst for knowledge, even that sense of wonder we often lose as we get older.
So like traveling to a new country and stumbling upon, I don't know, this hidden market filled with incredible food and music. You weren't expecting it, but it's amazing.
That's aligned surprise. It opens you up to new experiences, new perspectives. But misaligned surprise, well, that's not always as pleasant.
Yeah, I was just thinking about that. Like that same travel scenario, but instead of a cool market, you encounter I don't know, a dangerous situation you didn't anticipate.
Right. That same surprise can trigger fear, anxiety, a desire to retreat.
It's like those unexpected moments can either push us forward or make us pull back, depending on whether they align with our sense of, I don't know, safety and comfort.
You nailed it. And here's where it gets even more interesting. These baseline emotions, boredom, passion, and surprise, they're just the beginning.
There's more.
Oh, yeah. These are the foundation. All other emotions are built on top of these.
Wait, so we've only scratched the surface of this whole emotional landscape. Tell me more.
We're just getting started. These baseline emotions, they combine and interact to create a whole spectrum of primary emotions. And then those primary emotions can blend to create even more complex feelings.
Okay, my mind is officially blown. I can't wait to see where this goes next.
Okay, so we've got these baseline emotions like the boredom, passion, surprise, acting as the foundation, right?
Yeah.
But things get way more interesting when we move to that next level.
Next level. I'm intrigued. What's this next level of emotions?
We call them primary emotions. They're like, they're more direct responses to whether those baselines we were talking about are aligned or misaligned, you know?
Like our IPV. Right?
Yeah, exactly. And on this level, we've got fear, anger, and sadness sort of on one side.
Okay. And then on the flip side.
On the other side, you've got calmness, care, and excitement.
So it's like a spectrum, right? From like, whoa, not good to things are awesome.
That's a pretty good way to put it, yeah.
So where does fear fit into all of this?
Fear, that comes from misaligned surprise. Something unexpected happens, throws you off balance. It might even like threaten your values, you know?
It's like your internal alarm bells are going off, right?
Yeah.
Like, whoa, something's not right here.
Precisely. That feeling of, I don't know, like losing control.
Okay, yeah, I can definitely relate to that. Like, think about when you're about to give a big presentation at work. You've prepped like crazy, but there's still that fear. Like, what if I mess up? What if the tech fails? What if we don't meet everyone's expectations?
That's it. That's that misaligned surprise messing with your sense of control.
Ugh. Yeah, the presentation jitters are real. But I mean, sometimes fear is more, serious, not just about public speaking.
Absolutely. Fear can be a totally appropriate response to real threats. The key is, I think, understanding what's triggering that misalignment in the first place.
What do you mean?
Well, is it a genuine danger? Or is it more, is it our perception of a situation that's making it seem worse than it is?
Right. Okay, so fear equals misaligned surprise. What about anger? I'm guessing that's got to be connected to passion somehow, right?
You nailed it. Anger comes from passion when it's misaligned. Remember we were talking about how passion is this blend of love and anger all mixed up? So when things get out of whack, anger often takes over. It's a signal of resistance, like you're pushing back against something that feels, I don't know, wrong.
So like when you're super passionate about a cause, but you just keep hitting all these roadblocks.
Yeah.
Or you're like constantly facing injustice.
Exactly. That mismatch, that misalignment between your desire for change and the frustrating reality, that can trigger some serious anger.
Yeah, and it could be a good thing, right? Like it can motivate you to fight for what you believe in, but I guess it can also be destructive if you don't like channel it effectively.
It's a double-edged sword, that's for sure. It can fuel positive action, but it can also consume you if you let it. Okay, now let's switch gears. Let's talk about sadness. This one might seem, I don't know, a little counterintuitive, but sadness actually comes from misaligned boredom.
Wait, hold on. Sadness from boredom. I always thought boredom just like led to apathy, not sadness.
It can, but think about what sadness really is. At its core, it often reflects a sense of loss, like something's missing. And when boredom is misaligned, you feel stuck, unable to connect with your passions, your interests, or your values.
So it's like you're grieving for, I don't know, grieving for that spark, that thing that makes you feel alive.
You got it. Imagine someone stuck in a dead-end job. Day after day, they're doing work that just doesn't resonate with them at all. That chronic misalignment, that can lead to deep sadness, a feeling of being, I don't know, trapped.
Yeah, that's pretty heavy. It makes you think about, how sadness isn't always tied to like a specific event, right?
Yeah.
It can be a symptom of a life that's just out of sync with who you are.
Okay, now let's shift to the other side of the spectrum. The emotions that signal things are pretty darn good.
Things are awesome side.
Yeah, exactly. Let's talk about calmness. Calmness, that comes from, you guessed it, aligned boredom.
Okay, I'm starting to see the pattern here. So aligned boredom isn't about being like lazy or unmotivated. It's more about being, I don't know, content with stillness.
Yeah, That's it. Calmness signals emotional stability. You're not desperately seeking external stimulation, you know? You're just present, accepting things as they are.
Like that feeling when you're meditating or, I don't know, enjoying a quiet evening at home, maybe reading a good book.
Perfect examples. It's that peace and contentment that comes from, well, the absence of intense stimulation, I guess you could say.
Okay, and then we have care, which I'm betting stems from aligned passion, right?
You're on fire today. Care, or love as it's often called, it reflects that, I don't know, that protective, nurturing energy, and that blossoms from aligned passion.
It's what motivates us to connect, to support each other, to build those meaningful relationships,
You got it.
like the love a parent feels for their child,
Yeah.
or like that deep bond between close friends who, support each other through thick and thin.
Those are perfect examples. That feeling of deep care, it comes from a deep alignment between your values, things like compassion, empathy, connection, and your actions.
Okay, and last but not least, we have excitement. That feeling you get when.
Surprise is aligned. It signals that you're open to new experiences, a willingness to embrace the unknown, you know? It's that sense that life is just full of possibility.
It's like that feeling of anticipation, like you're on the verge of something amazing, like when you're about to embark on a big adventure or you're starting a new project that just, lights you up inside.
Exactly. And that excitement, it's there because the unexpected aligns with your interests and values. It pulls you forward, invites you to step outside your comfort zone, discover something new.
Okay, so we've covered baseline emotions and then the primary emotions they generate.
Yeah.
But I have a feeling things are about to get even more, I don't know, even more nuanced, right?
Yeah.
Our emotional lives rarely fit neatly into these perfect little boxes.
You're so right, because now we're stepping into, well, the realm of combined emotions. And this is where those primary emotions start to blend and interact to create even richer, more complex experiences.
Ooh, I'm intrigued. Tell me more about these combined emotions. How do they work? What do they reveal about our inner world?
Combined emotions, huh? It's like we're, I don't know, mixing primary colors to create this whole new palette of feelings. So, what are some of the key combinations we should be aware of? Like, where do we even begin with all of this blending?
Oh, there are so many fascinating blends. But I think for today, let's focus on a few that are super relevant to, just navigating life, the ups and downs. And first up, let's talk about disgust. Disgust is this powerful cocktail of, well, it's fear and anger mixed together. Disgust, yeah. That visceral feeling of aversion, wanting to push something away. Or, I don't know, like washing your hands after touching something gross. What's going on there in terms of IPV? Like, what's the connection?
Well, disgust, it pops up when you run into something that, violates your deeply held values, especially when it feels threatening, you know? Like a threat to your sense of, I don't know, purity or morality.
It's like those internal alarm bells are blaring, right? Like, nope, this is not okay. This clashes with who I am, what I believe in.
Exactly. It's a protective response, you
Yeah.
know? Combining that fear of contamination with the anger of having your boundaries crossed.
So can you give me an example? Like, what kind of situation would trigger that disgust response?
Sure. Imagine witnessing someone being cruel, like really unethical behavior. Maybe they betray someone's trust or they take advantage of a vulnerable person, something like that. That can trigger disgust because it violates your sense of fairness, your compassion, even just basic human decency, you know?
And that disgust, it can motivate you to do something, right? Like speak out against the injustice or distance yourself from that toxic situation.
Exactly. It can be a powerful force for, I don't know, protecting your values, maintaining your sense of self. Okay, another interesting blend we see a lot is bitterness. And bitterness, that's this lingering mix of anger and sadness. And it can hang around for a long time after a hurtful experience.
Bitterness, ooh, it's like that heavy feeling of resentment, like you were wronged and you can't let it go.
That's a good way to put it. Bitterness, it usually comes up in situations where you feel like justice hasn't been served. Maybe you were, I don't know, passed over for a promotion you deserved, or someone broke a promise that was really important to you, and there were no consequences for their actions.
So that unresolved anger and sadness, they fester, and it turns into bitterness.
Exactly. It's like a wound that hasn't healed properly. You know, the pain's still there, even though the initial thing, that's long gone.
Yeah, it can really hold you back, right? Like
Yeah.
it prevents you from moving on, from embracing those new opportunities.
Yeah.
It's a signal that you need to find a way to process those feelings. to find some resolution, even if that means changing your perspective on the situation.
You're exactly right. Okay, now let's talk about something a little lighter. Let's talk about nostalgia. That that feeling we get when we think about the past. You know, that mix of calmness and sadness.
Nostalgia, yeah. It's bittersweet, isn't it? Like those warm, fuzzy feelings mixed with a little bit of, I don't know, melancholy.
It is. Nostalgia lets you connect with those meaningful memories, even if those memories are, well, they're a little sad because you can't go back to them.
Like looking through old photos or listening to a song that reminds you of a special time.
Exactly. It can be comforting. But yeah, a little melancholic too. It's about acknowledging the beauty of the past while also accepting that it's gone.
It's about finding meaning in those past experiences without, I guess,
Yeah.
without getting stuck there, right?
Right. It's about integrating those lessons, those memories into your present life.
Okay, makes sense. Let's shift gears again. Talk about a combined emotion that's a bit more uh, positive. Trust, that solid blend of calmness and care.
Ah, trust. Trust is, well, it's a foundation of healthy relationships, really. And it's so essential for your overall well-being. It pops up when you feel safe, secure, and connected to others.
Is it that feeling of knowing someone has your back?
Yeah.
That you can rely on them, they have your best interests at heart.
And that trust, it's built on shared values,
Yeah.
open communication, and, consistent actions.
Yeah.
It's about aligning your care for someone with a sense of, I don't know, calmness and stability in the relationship.
Think about the trust you feel with, I don't know, a close friend, a mentor,
Hmm.
partner. That deep sense of connection. It allows you to be vulnerable, to grow, to face challenges knowing you're not alone.
Exactly. Okay, last one for today. Wonder. Wonder is this. It's a delightful combination of care and excitement.
Wonder. That childlike sense of awe, right? Curiosity. Being just amazed by the world around us, it's something we tend to lose sight of as adults.
It is. But it's so important. Wonder, it's what drives exploration, creativity. It's what pushes us to grow.
It pops up when you encounter something new, something fascinating that, just clicks with your values, your interests.
You got it. Like the excitement of a new passion or the awe of witnessing, I don't know, a natural wonder.
Or even just the joy of learning something that totally changes your perspective. Like, whoa, I never thought of it that way before.
Exactly. Wonder reminds you that there's always more to learn, more to experience, more to appreciate.
So, okay, we've gone from these like baseline emotions to primary emotions and now to these like complex combined emotions. It's amazing how, I don't know, how nuanced it all is. What's the big takeaway here? How does understanding all of this IPV stuff help us actually navigate our emotional world?
The big thing is recognizing that emotions, they aren't random. They're signals, right? They're telling us about the relationship between your identity, your IPV, and your environment.
So when our emotions are aligned, that means things are probably in sync. Like we feel good, we're growing, we're moving in a direction that feels, right.
Exactly. But when those emotions are misaligned, that's when you feel the fear, the anger, the sadness, the bitterness, all that. That's a sign to, like, pause, reflect.
Like a red flag, right? Hey, something's off here. Pay attention.
Exactly. Those misaligned emotions, they're like invitations. They're saying, hey, take a look at your IPV, your interests, perceptions, values. Are they truly aligned with where you are right now? Is there something you need to change, to adjust, to let go of?
So it's not about like eliminating those negative emotions. It's about understanding what they're trying to tell us. And then I guess using that information to make choices that really align with who we are.
You got it. And that's what's so cool about this IPV framework. It gives you the power to take ownership of your emotional experience, to become a more conscious creator of your own well-being.
I love that. This has been such an insightful deep dive. I feel like I have a whole new vocabulary for my emotions
Yeah.
and a framework for like actually making sense of why I feel the way I do.
It's a journey,
Yeah.
a journey of self-discovery. But understanding this IPV stuff, it's a powerful step toward, I think, greater emotional intelligence, toward creating a life that truly reflects, your authentic self.
Well said. And on that note, I want to leave our listeners with a question. Think about a recent time when you felt a strong emotion, maybe one you typically label as negative. How might this IPV framework shed new light on that experience? Could it help you understand, I don't know, the root cause of that feeling? Maybe even point you toward a different course of action. Remember, emotions are data, and IPV is the key to unlocking their hidden messages. So keep exploring, keep learning, and keep using this framework to, navigate the amazing, complex world of your own emotions.